What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, or Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Now, this video is entitled Racism plus Karma equals Apathy. Racism in America. We know all about it. We know all of the BS that goes with it. We know all of the hypocrisy that people say to maintain it. But we rarely talk about why we don't fight back at it. It's because in life, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So even people who perpetuate, practice, and benefit off of racism have always ran into their karma. And I think because we know that that's how the world works and that's how the universe works, we let racism slide because you're going to get yours, right? But because of that, it creates an apathy. And what I mean by that is we're indifferent to doing things that could prevent racism in the first place. We leave it all in God's hands, right? Which nothing is wrong with people reaping what they sow. But something is wrong with the idea that I'm going to put myself in the line of fire constantly because I know the people who fire at me will reap what they sow. That's the problem. What I mean by that is this. What's going on in this country today has always been going on in this country. And slowly but surely, the black people have been chipping away at racism. And because of the way the country's set up, it's, how can I say, white supremacy versus black, I don't know, empowerment. That's the best way I could look at it. Because I think that's why people look at black empowerment. Like, that's how I see people try to equate the KKK, which is white supremacy, to the Black Panthers, because it fights white supremacy. Not that it, terrorizes other people, because that's what the KKK does. So, because it fights white supremacy as a reaction to racism, it's looked at as an equal thing by delusional white people. Because it seems like, well, it doesn't seem like, they've been taught that it's their right to just hate for some odd reason. It's their right to just grow up and hate people and think that, if I can hate you for my own personal gain, it makes sense. And we've been taught that, they're going to hate you for their own personal gain, and that's who they are. But, life, they're gonna pay for this in this life and the next. So just take it on the chin and keep it moving. And that bothers me. That really bothers me. Because like I said, these people never changed. By this time we should be voting to counter racism. We should be voting on the local level to if we don't have it, because I find it, we've been economically deprived and crippled in this country. That's just part of what it is. Not necessarily crippled, but deprived. We got to work with scraps. But with the scraps we have, we can, at the local level, vote our own judges, sheriffs, councilmen, mayors, governors, lieutenant governors, school boards, you know, fire. I don't think fire chiefs. That's a promotion, but we can have put people in charge that have our best interests in heart by voting on at the local level to curb the racism that we will face in the justice system and our kids will face in education. But instead of doing that, we're apathetic because the people we see, people don't talk about what happens to the racist cops and chiefs and sheriffs and how their lives end up. We don't talk about they wind up being drunks and drug addicts and nutcases and suicide. Commit suicide and their families breaking up and their whole life crumbling because we know it happens, but they're just in their own white enclave blaming that on black people because life's karma came back to bite them in the ass. But we don't have to even let it get that far if we do what we need to do on a local level. This is why I said the racism plus karma equals apathy. That idea kind of gives us a conscience to sleep at night because I think we are the leader as far as non-black people, as non-white people rather, and openly challenging white supremacy, racism, injustice, fairness, ethics, and morality in this country. But and everybody of every other group that's non-white, meaning everybody, whether it's Native Americans, Hispanics, Asians, other Africans, other black people from the diaspora in the Caribbean or South America, other type of Asians like people, Indians and Pakistanis and Arabs and Muslims and people of other religions all quote and all try to follow the practices of black people in the past. Jewish people were involved in the civil rights movement to get ahead for themselves at the end of the day, but they all use us as their flagship model for this is wrong. But they all participate in white supremacy to get ahead. So we look at them like y'all on both sides of the fence because that's what they do, and they pay because we see it happen to them too. Because one minute, all of those groups, the gay and lesbian community, them too. One minute they whoop white people, hand in hand. You've seen people of other ethnicities with Confederate stuff and Nazi stuff and Klan stuff and fuck you niggas type shit. That's what they do. And I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about non-white people, right? And sometimes even our own. And then when those people say you're a traitor, we're gonna throw you under the bus. Black people, this is my karma. Love me again. And we like, whatever. But to prevent that, we could have already just separated and said, look, you can't benefit off of us. You don't get the benefit off of our civil rights struggle. You don't get the benefit off of our ancestors' slave history. You don't get the benefit off of affirmative action. That ain't for you. You don't get the benefit off of, how can I say this? Off of the things that we created that the country took credit for. You don't get the benefit off of gentrification when you're in our neighborhoods and they gave you a business loan and now you talking crazy to us in our neighborhood. No, we're not coming to your business. How about that? We're gonna treat you like them white folks do when you go to their neighborhood and they don't buy none of your stuff and they just leave you there until you run out of town. How about that? You know, that way we ain't got to deal with the racism of y'all trying to disrespect us on a regular basis and disrespect our children and try to sell poison in our communities, because that's another thing. You know, when people bring crime, drugs, guns to our communities, those are all non-black people that bring that stuff in, all of them. And you know, you can't poison a well without poisoning your own water. And the karma is they wind up poisoning their own families, own communities, and we're sitting back like, yeah, you poisoned us first. Now you got to live with it, and that's your karma. So here's the apathy. But the problem is, you know, when they started in the first place, they did so much damage with us. We have to clean up that mess because they're not going to clean it up. So we have to be proactive in stopping the racism in the beginning, giving people less and less avenues to use their political power, their power of law enforcement, their power of business and economics, to the power of educating our children. We have to use those to stop those things. The power of propaganda through television and media. You know, we have to step away from all of that and go through it at in a way that benefits us. Because if we keep playing into the racism, because we know on the back end life is gonna smack these people in the mouth for their negativity, and we keep being apathetic to, like, you know, you did bad to me, so you know everything you done to me already gonna be done to you. That type of shit. Our children will have less adversity because we will actually protect them from that adversity, and they will be able to, and generations will be able to grow. Because everybody else is growing because of racism, to be perfectly honest. Well, now they're not. I say that. Now they're not, because of the debts of this country and the way it's falling apart, and they trying to blame Trump and all that other shit. No, not really. What it is racism made America lazy and incompetent. This whole country was built on racism, so that made it lazy. I hate to break the news to you. When you build when you build a nation on the idea that of quote unquote manifest destiny, where I'm gonna steal your stuff so I can get money. I'm gonna enslave you so I can be rich. I'm gonna make you do all the labor in the country to make me rich. And I'm gonna go other places around the world and kill those people and steal their stuff to maintain my riches. Well, at the end of the day, after generation and generation and generation and generation, is you've made yourselves lazy. And that's why we always say, you know, the one percenters don't care about the rest of white America, because they capitalized off of all the murder, theft, pillaging of the United States and the world. And the rest of you suckers just wanted to be known as white. So they're like, hey, well, this was a money grab, fool. This wasn't a white power event. But some of y'all are just too slow to catch that. But because of that, you can see the Caucasian race constantly devolve in your intelligence, in your work ethic, in your body's breaking down early. You know, that's life's karma. You're basic, and your fear of being outpopulated and your birth rates is because of karma. You know, because you don't you evolve by adversity, by overcoming adversity. You know, and you thought mentally being destructive for profit was actually getting you further. It got you further, quote unquote, financially, but evolutionary, you went backwards. But we have to stop being so apathetic about that and protect ourselves and stop playing. So I'm out.